Welcome back to Seattle Sound. Then and now, I'm your host, Owen Wright from the Seattle band, My Sister's Machine. I'm sitting here in the pod room, Watchcast room, with my producer and my good buddy and director, David Yama. David, how are you today?
Doing all right.
How was your week?
It was pretty good, pretty productive.
Yeah? Anything crazy happen?
Just something at my paying job. We're okay.
Copy that. So we're going to get right to it. We've got a great female artist here who is a dear friend of mine and definitely a poignant fixture in the Seattle music scene. Please welcome to the show, Kim Virant. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Owen.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
How was your week?
My week was good. I got a new fence. I'm very excited.
Lovely. I hear you're getting a new porch.
Yeah, some tall man is going to put a porch in for me.
What?
Who could that be?
I don't know. What? So the show is called Seattle Sound, Then and Now. I always like to ask my first question to my guest, and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
My pleasure.
When did we first meet?
Well, no, to be honest, you texted me this question, and I have no idea. Do you know, Owen?
So right around the time when remember Alex and Tommy were building the Rock Candy?
Yep.
That's when I met a bunch of you guys from another group of people who were in this music scene.
Okay.
Just not in the crew of people that I kind of hung out with. Although I did know your husband, Chris, and Rick way back in the days. Even, I don't even know what year it was. Maybe you know. When did they start Shadow?
Somewhere in the early 80s.
Early
I think Chris
80s.
was probably about 13.
So I'm pretty sure that's when I met those guys. And then as time went on, the Rock Candy got built. People were going to shows. And I think at a few of those shows, I met you and a bunch of your girlfriends were hanging out. And we were, coming and supporting our friends in the bands. And we go, remember, you get your ticket at the Rock Candy.
Yeah.
And maybe get a beer. But in between bands, you'd run real quick over to the off-ramp.
Oh, yeah.
Get a little...
Because they had hard liquor.
You get a little highball in you. Then you come back,
Exactly.
you watch another band. And I think that's when I first, really became friends with all you guys. But I do remember, tell us about your excellent Christmas parties, because I went to a couple of them, and those were fun as shit.
Oh, yes. My buddy Stacy Drake and I lived in Lower Queen Anne at the Duke Apartments, right above Duke's on Lower Queen Anne. And she lived on the second floor, and I lived on the ground floor, and we would have these parties together. And they were infamous or notorious, one of the two.
Both.
And people would just show up, and it was kind of an open, bring somebody. One time I came around the corner, and mind you, this place was not very big. There was Charles Barkley. He's another very tall man. Somebody, I think John had brought him, and it was like, oh, okay, how's it going?
Charles Barkley, the NBA star?
Yes.
What? At your house?
And my apartment, was no bigger than a peanut. It was totally small, but he was there, and he stayed for a little bit, not very long, I don't think. And but yeah, we had a ton of parties, and they just kind of went on. And I also, after that, we lived in a couple different houses. We were the Vixens from Hell. So we would have these, like I'd be at the Vogue outside when it was done for the evening, and I'd hear my address being circulated. Party at 36 in Wallingford.
I went to a couple parties at that house, and that was first party I ever went to that I saw a bunch of people that I didn't know, but when I walked in, Owen, and I'm like, oh my God, it felt like Cheers.
Yeah.
And I met Andy was there, with Xana, and a bunch of people that I just recently met, but it was super great. Those parties were awesome. What about, do we have a party coming this next year?
Well, I think so.
And, here's the bad news. And what is your address for everybody? What?
What? No.
Hell no, she says.
I'm too old for that now, but we probably will have a party.
How old were you when you started loving music? Was it like listening to your parents' records or what they were playing, or how did you get into listening to music?
I'm kind of an oddball musician, so there was always AM radio, and I always loved that. And we drove. I've been to every state in the union. We drove all the time. We would go on these big driving trips, but my parents, there was music, but they weren't music people. And I did theater all through high school and college, and not even musical theater. It wasn't until I was almost 25 that I started singing.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was very late to it. And I'd always liked performing, obviously, with the theater. And it wasn't until I met Alex Rosenast, and I kind of fell into this group of musicians, and all the guys played music, and I'm like, well, if they're going to do it,
I can do it.
I'm going to do it too.
Yeah.
So it was, I'd always loved, like my first loves were Cher and John Denver and the Carpenters.
I love I'm still in love with Cher.
And when we would travel around, we would go to KOAs. You know, those are.
Oh yeah, KOA campgrounds.
So I'd be in the bathroom, and there's always good acoustics in there, and I'd sing Country Roads to my mom.
Really? That is so
But I
cool.
was late to it. Like all the people that I play with, they all had been playing music forever.
Basically, from when you were a kid up until singing in the campground bathroom at KOA, which I remember well. We used to go trailing with my grandparents. They loved that place. When did you first start thinking of who did you get together with first in Seattle to maybe just get together, jam or whatever?
Well, so this is how it went. So, and in high school, I recorded myself singing to James Taylor because I kind of thought I could sing, but I wasn't sure. And then I listened to it back and it sounded awful. And I think it's because now it was probably the wrong key. And so I'd go to Europe for 3 months. I travel with my buddy, Ann Williams, and we travel all over. And when you're traveling like that, you're always telling your story, like, I'm Kim, and this is what I do, and blah, blah, blah. And she
Sure.
noted that it was interesting at the beginning of the trip. You're like, I kind of want to sing. At the end of the trip, you're like, I want to sing. And it was the weirdest thing. We got back, and it was probably October, and I went to a party like a few days later, and I met this guy that was willing to, Sean, and he was willing to do a band with me. So we did an open mic, and it was probably in December. You know where Murphy's is on 45th?
Yes.
They would do open mics, and I believe it was snowing, and I told everybody I was going to do this open mic. So I think Stoney showed up, and maybe
Probably Krisha.
Well, there was a whole group and like all my girlfriends, and I think everybody was like, "I hope the fuck she can sing." And
Thank God.
And it went off well. And so we had a band together for maybe a year, and then we played with the Pickets. Do you remember? You know, the Pickets?
I do.
Yeah. And we opened for them at the Vogue, and that's when I met Brian Kinney. And then on the side, I had been talking to Tim DiGiulio, and they both had very similar tastes and where their musical inspirations, a lot of Stones, all that kind of thing.
Really blues oriented.
Yeah, Faces, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, we just started playing together. And then we got Scott Summers, who has unfortunately passed away in last year, I guess. And then we got the drummer, Steve Bramer, who was awesome. And then we had a couple different drummers after that. Richard Stuverud played with us. And
Is that right? I didn't know that.
oh, yeah. So, and, he's a fabulous drummer, too.
Oh, he's amazing.
So
you were surrounding yourself with some people that actually knew how to lay it down. And so let's get back to a little more of the then. So 25, just started singing. You got together with those guys, started playing. So the band that I poignantly know you guys for the most, Lazy Susan?
Yeah. So Lazy Susan was Tim DiGiulio, Brian Kinney, Scott Summers, and like I said, Steve Bramer to begin with. And then we had Richard Stuverud for a spell, and then another drummer, Chris. And I think that may be all, although...
But not your husband, Chris Freed.
No.
Okay.
No, Chris was never in that band. And then...
Okay.
And then later, when Lazy Susan broke up in late December of '96, I started another band, and let's see who was in that. Tim was in that, and Scott was in that, and Marty Chandler.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metal Marty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just put a record out.
I know. He's got all his sexy shirt off and all that look.
Bunch of cowboy rockabilly, not rockabilly, but I call it the virus from the Super Suckers because they're totally that style of raunchy
rock and roll.
Good.
Yeah.
Just going out and kicking some ass. We're going to put our cowboy boots on and watch out what you say because it might be up your hiney.
Oh, yeah. And Eric Fenner, he played drums.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but currently now I have the lineup that I have. Chris Real is in that band. So it's Jeff Rouse on bass, Gary Westlake on guitar.
Nice.
like I said, Chris Friel on the drums, Kathy Moore, which she plays. It's interesting enough, she only plays a little bit of guitar. She's always amazing shredder, but she does a lot of keys on my stuff, which is
Really?
nice. And then we have something that we're kind of having brewing in the background that we're working on, and then Max Rose on sax. So
Oh,
yeah,
very nice. So do you remember you guys were playing a show? It was a Christmas show. Do you remember a big Santa Claus standing in front of you while you were singing?
oh, I think I do.
And there was a little elf right next to me?
I think so.
That was me and Kathy Bell.
I do remember that.
And I was
was
looking.
it Sanarchy? Were you guys out and about?
Yeah, we were. It was Sanarchy. Good one. I got to remember that. Dave, write that down.
I think that's a thing, Sanarchy. I think that people dress up in Santa during the holidays and then go drinking.
And pretty much.
SantaCon.
SantaCon?
It's a thing now, yeah. I don't know if it's come back since after the pandemic, but before the pandemic, it was
SantaCon?
talking thousands of people bar hopping and
Oh yeah,
vomiting
a lot of
in
drunk
Santa.
Santas.
Yeah, I was actually driving Lyft for a little bit during one, and everybody I started to pick up, half of them I was like, no, no,
You're gonna puke in my car. You can't come in here.
And just so everybody knows, this is David Yama, my director and producer of our show, which would never have happened if it wasn't for you, you little maniac genius. You know what? We're going to take a little commercial break here, and then we're going to come back. We've got some very poignant questions for Kimberly. Welcome back to Seattle's Sound Then and Now. CD, I got it right.
You did.
Woohoo!
I screw that up every damn time. It's been happening. I used to introduce David as David Yuma.
Yuma.
I did that to Kimberly on Facebook the other day, and your fans and your friends were like, Owen, it's Virant. And
Like
I was
vibrant without the B.
and people were like commenting, like private messaging me, dude, you fucked that up. And I'm like, I'm doing the best I can over here. Give an old man a break. Oh my God, it's good times. I want to do something real quick right now. We lost a really good friend of ours, and Kim knows this gentleman. Our buddy Paul Passarelli passed away,
Yes.
and
I want to give a shout out to his partner Lisa.
absolutely
We're thinking of you and sending lots of love.
all the love to Paul and Lisa. And I'm wearing my rock and roll lipstick handkerchief cuff. I tried out for lipstick, never made it, but I did have the tight pants, the handkerchiefs all the way down my leg, and I didn't make the band.
Well, you know.
Ask why, Kim.
Why, Owen, didn't you make the band?
They told me you need to learn how to play guitar better and shred.
And did you go home and learn that? So you can thank Mr. Paul for that.
I totally can. He was my first introduction to, you want to be in a rock and roll band, motherfucker? I'll show you how to do it. And he was like a badass.
Well, as he said.
It makes me, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
But here's the good news. He's still with us and always will be. We got tons of music from him. We'll see him up there.
Yep.
All our best to Lisa and Paul. We love you, and you're always here with us, buddy. So much love all the time. Let's get back to Kim Virant gigs that you played in.
Okay, the best gig ever is that we played, we opened for Pearl Jam for Drop in the Park.
I remember that.
And it was,
Everybody was there.
oh my God, it was amazing. But I was so nervous. So I was going back and forth to the porta potty, and the guy that was standing there, I'm sure, was like, what the hell is wrong with that woman? But I was so anxious. And, but we took the stage, and it all kind of dissipated. It was like, oh, this is awesome. And there were, I mean, that's the most people I've ever played for. It was like probably 30,000, maybe 20,000. It was a lot of people.
Damn.
Where was that at? Was that Sandpoint?
It was at Sandpoint. It was Magnuson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that place holds, I know, minimum 20,000 people.
And it was phenomenal. And it was also cool because a lot of times during that period, there weren't a lot of other women that were playing. I mean, there were women in Seattle that were playing and killing it, but just it was always, male heavy. So it was kind of nice to bring it in there. And then let's see.
So wait. Back to that gig.
Yeah.
And I played shows that more in Europe, outdoor stadium festival shows. And in Europe, it's almost ridiculous. I mean, you got like 50, 60,000 people. Unfortunately, they didn't know who our band was, but they proceeded to throw hunks of grass at us.
What?
And that means they like you, apparently.
That's how they like you in Europe. They throw grass at you.
You're
It's
going to
great.
hit a guitar chord, you've got a clump of grass that came off of your 9-iron wedge that's stuck in your motherfucking guitar, and you're like, what's wrong here? Oh,
Let me get rid of this sod.
I'll remember that when I go to Europe. Just throw grass at
Throw
people.
grass at people.
But I remember being on stage, and I couldn't hear my guitar, and I was playing by braille, watching my drummer, Chris, hit his snare. That's why I could keep time.
Yes.
How did you feel? Were you able to hear yourself?
I think for that one, yeah, but particularly in Lazy Susan, those guys were so talented and so good, but so loud.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I play and I don't hear myself, but I know what I'm trying to hit. So you kind of just hear it in your head.
Would you ever say to the fellas,
Are you going to ask me if I asked them to turn down, Owen?
yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Of course I did. Did they turn down? Oh, it's that sneaky, like, I'm going to turn down over here by my amp.
Well, the problem is because we love it loud, we just don't know how to. The sweetest spot for a guitar player, so you got your back line where you got your amps.
Yep.
I like to run 2 Marshalls stereo.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a sweet spot between those fuckers going down and then the monitor. And right when you can get that sweet spot, you got a really good pocket to lay in. And hopefully you got a good monitor person. So, yeah, no, I'm not surprised you asked the fellas, can you guys fucking turn down? And they're like, yeah, I'll do it. Like an increment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They turned it down from 11.
Yeah,
Well,
they did. Indeed.
And those guitar players that she plays with back then and now, they're great guitar players.
Oh,
Those guys
yeah.
know how to play, and they play really more clean through Fender Twins
Yeah.
and like,
Their amps are small. They're not big
Yeah.
Marshall stacks.
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, they may have. No, they've always kind of played through even.
yeah,
Yeah.
like combo Fenders, and those amps. Unless you got a distortion pedal, that guitar tone is right in your face.
Oh yeah.
So as a singer, when you have that guitar coming through too much on your monitors, and one thing I've never done, because I'm old and retired from running around like a maniac. That's why I've figured out a way to like still hang out with you guys and talk about music and do music. Like you can see, we do a lot of music around here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to go anywhere. Brilliant, really.
There you go. Well, and I love it when like we'll play the triple door and that is a totally different experience. Like the energy is
Do
different.
they
than,
do
like,
in-ear monitors?
They don't. That's something I've been kind of playing with, but it's so quiet in there that I can hear everything. And
Yeah.
what's great as a singer when it's that kind of sound quality, you can play with your voice in a way that so you can do things. So we
Well, you can kind of play with the room too.
yeah. Oh yeah. And I just did so I played with I did a thing with Mike at Benaroya. This was before the pandemic, and that place has amazing quality. And I was so nervous that when I got done, I ran off stage and Chris Friel's like, they're giving you a standing O. I'm like, I don't care. I'm done.
I'm out.
I did it.
I give a check.
I hit the mark and I'm gone.
What did you end up doing that night after the show? Because you're all pumped up.
Oh, we probably just went for drinks or dinner or something. But and I was trying to think if I had any crazy show. The only time, because I don't really drink very much before I play because I need to be able to do what I want to do with my voice.
Yep.
But we played, this was Lazy Susan, we were in Pullman, and we waited around too long, and I was just drinking.
Uh-oh.
And I said,
No, I've never done that.
I did the whole show sitting on Tim's amp because I could not stand up.
That's kind of a rock star thing,
Yeah.
I think. You know what? I'll do this, but I'm going to sit. Why? Because I can.
Okay, so this other memory that I have, I think it's called, was it Greenstock? It was somewhere over like in Idaho, and it rained and rained and rained and rained, and we ended up not doing it, and people got like stuck in the mud for days,
I think I heard of this.
and they had to, like, the Army Corps of Engineers had
Yeah.
to come out and get
It was a big
people's
deal, right?
Yeah, because we pulled up and it was just piss and rain, and we were looking at everything, and I'm like, we can't play this because there was no coverage on the stage. I'm like, we're all playing electrical, y'all are playing guitars and whatnot, and
There's no cover.
no. So we ended up pulling it out. But I feel like, did we all play a show somewhere in Eastern Washington or over in Idaho? Like some kind of a stock thing?
Yes. I have a feeling, did Sweetwater play with us?
I want to say they did, yeah.
I think we were,
Was it My Sister's Machine, Lazy
Yes.
Susan, and Sweetwater?
yes. And it was in the main
Was it
park.
like Lewiston?
It was in the main park at Lewiston, Idaho.
Mm-hmm.
And it was you guys, Sweetwater, and we played. Oh, I got in a bunch of trouble that night, too. You brought up something that maybe we could talk about.
I think
David, what did the lawyer say?
We can always cut it in post.
Well, yes, we did. It was an outdoor show.
I think that we may have been drinking that evening.
Oh, my God. I threw a party in my hotel room.
Yes, I think I came.
You did.
Yep.
And for some reason, and I don't know how it happened, but it got trashed.
Wait, was this the one where your manager or something got arrested for it?
Yeah.
And he wasn't even there.
No, it was the promoter of the show, the guy that owned the Rock Candy. What's his face?
Was it Tommy O'Neill?
No. Those guys had sold it already to the
Oh.
two college guys.
Oh, yes.
So he didn't have insurance or something, and he put all the rooms on his credit card, but it was over his limit and maxed out. And they went into my room the next morning. TV was not there. The mirror in the bathroom was broken. The towel bars were off the wall. The bed got flipped upside down. Somebody put their
Wow.
head through, and I just got up that next morning. I grabbed my bag and I left. I don't remember really what it looked like.
Party like a rock star.
We had a hell of a time. 3 months later on tour, I was telling Dave this. I get a phone call. Well, we get a text on a beeper, and it's my main manager, Toby, from LA, put Owen on the phone.
Oh, no.
Hey, O, your next advance check's going to be $5,000 light. I'm like, why? You don't remember, do you? And I'm like, no. He goes, Lewiston, Idaho, that outdoor show with Sweetwater. And I was like, oh, shit. So, yeah, been there, done that, no bueno.
Bad boy behavior.
But
Mm.
that rock candy guy, he went to jail for it.
Yeah,
He went to jail?
yeah, because he couldn't cover it. And
Holy crap.
something happened. I don't know what happened. He may have mouthed off to somebody.
Oh.
It's Owen's fault. Go get him. They're like, he's on tour. You know what? We're going to take another short break. We're here with Kim Virant. And thank you again so much for being here. And we'll be back with Seattle's Sound Then and Now.
Another day hung with gray clouds, and only thread and rain. She had a 20 in her pocket and a pill to ease the pain. She rifled through her memories, looking for one good to keep. But the years had corroded them and pushed them down too deep. Pushed them down too deep. Climbed into a truck and she got out. Rode before her record.
Welcome back to Seattle's Sound Then and Now. See, Dave, I got it right again.
Woo!
We're going to go into the now portion of our show, but I wanted to backtrack. Off camera, we were just talking about a really cool gig that you did, and I want you to tell our listeners about it.
Well, I had mentioned a little bit, and then I was like, I should talk a little bit more about that because that was a big big, huge show for
That's
me.
a big deal.
So Mad Season, Temple of the Dog reunion at Benaroya, and Mike had done a piece that he had composed, and he did it with the Seattle Symphony. And then I got up, and it was, now this is the group. It's Mike McCready, it's Duff McKagan on bass, it's Matt Cameron on drums. It was pretty amazing. So I did the song Wake Up, and then Jefferson Angel and I did I'm Above. And I was so incredibly honored to be a part of this, to have been asked to do it. It meant the world to me. And then when after I ran off stage and I was walking back to the dressing room, and Sean Kenny from Alice, he put his arm around me and he said, Lane would have been so proud. And it was just such a cool, beautiful moment. And I think that's the thing with Seattle, that you're in it all the time, and you forget how amazingly special that we got to have this time period. Not every city gets to have a moment like we had. I mean, you've got like Athens, you'll have like, LA or whatever, but to have been a part of that, and to have been asked to be a part of something like that, it's amazing.
That is, I've never done anything that cool, and I've done a couple of cool things, but that is, in that lineup of those guys, and I know all of them, and they're all friends and great musicians. And I think for me, the really cool thing is that everybody in the community, whether you've, like, Mike and Duff are like two of the biggest bands in the world. Those are our buddies. Like,
you kind of forget.
You
'cause
do.
They're really great guys. Like, I'm a huge reader, and when I see Duff, I'll be like, okay, what are you reading? We'll exchange authors, and he's just the nicest guy. And then throughout the years, Mike has been very generous, and he's asked me to do things and sing in certain events and shows. And we did a couple songs together off his label, Hockey Talker Records. And it just, he's a really nice man too.
Yeah.
It's so nice. It's like, you're super talented and you're really nice.
That is the cool thing about Seattle, and probably a lot of other scenes too. Obviously, we know about the Seattle scene, but every now and then I'll be at Easy Street Records and bump into somebody who I haven't seen for a super long time, and it doesn't matter if they're more of a local talent, or they've like really nailed it to a point. It's always, hey, what's up? What are you doing? And usually what I get now from our friends who have really achieved some worldwide success, really what they say is, after I go, well, what are you doing later? They're like, well, my 4-year-old's learning how to swear.
Yeah.
And my 14-year-old's learning how to sneak out of the window from the second-story window. And it's nice to see that they're grounded and leveled. And as well as I do, how many friends and family members that we've lost through all these years. So I just feel super blessed to be able to talk to you guys and just talk about some of these things that maybe a lot of people don't know about. And it's just a blessing. And thank you again for being here.
Oh, no, I thank you for
It's
asking.
been a really fun pod.
Oh, that's awesome. Me too. I'm having fun.
So we're going to get to the last portion of our show, which is the now. You've got some new music coming out. Has it been released yet or no?
No, we're still working on it. And I sent David She Got Out, which is, that's going to be on, I think it's going to be an EP. I don't know. We're just recording. Max Rose, who plays sax with me, also has been producing these songs that we've been working on.
Another amazing artist.
Yeah, he is great. Max on sax. It's always, I'm not quite sure how I ended up in my band, but one day he was just part of the band. And I was like, okay, that sounds good to me. And so we've got a big show coming up.
So who's in the band now?
So the band is Jeff Rouse on bass, Kathy Moore on guitar and piano, Max Rose on sax, Gary Westlake on guitar, and then my good-looking husband Chris Friel on drums.
Mr. Friel.
Oh yeah.
A great lineup of musicians. Tell us a little bit about the music that you've recorded.
So
Is there anything that's inspiring that collection of music? Or
a little bit. So my dad passed in December, and there had been a song that had been brewing that kind of covers both my relationship with my mom and my dad. And Navigate is about that song that I sent you to. That's about, I wrote that after my mom passed. So that's
was that learning about how to navigate after she passed? Or
Yeah.
you're trying to get it out of yourself to
Yeah, like,
learn
to move through it and the
to
grief.
move through it. And
Yeah, because of my friend group, I was one of the first ones to lose a parent, and you never want to be part of that club, the dead parent club. But there's a, and this sounds weird to say, but kind of a beauty to it, because I think it makes you more compassionate and more understanding of loss, and it's also the circle of life. We're all gonna die, so, but it's so now both parents are gone. So there's songs on the record that are towards that. Kathy Moore did some. I think She Got Out she wrote that one too, and I wrote the lyrics to it. A lot of times I will write lyrics and melody because I don't play an instrument. I kind of dink around on the piano if I need to find something out, but I always collaborate with people, which I like.
oh my God, Kim, this has been, well, all the pods are super special in their own way, but I was really looking forward for you to be here. And as I said, thank you again for making the time for us. So we talked about your new music coming out.
Yep.
We know who's going to be playing in the band. And now the good news is we get to see you guys play. Where are you playing, and what is the date, and what is it for?
We are playing July 8th at Slim's down in Georgetown, and it is Ginger Fest. And the reason it's Ginger Fest is because all three lead singers have red hair.
Hello.
So there you go. So Brittany Danielle is going to open, and she's a fabulous young woman that's making the scene. And then
Should we get her on the pod?
you might want to get her on the pod. I'll ask her.
Because we're looking for new, younger talent. Besides all of us who have been digging around this town forever, I really want to delve into, and I was talking to Director Dave about it, getting new young talent. Hey, where are you practicing at?
Yeah.
Do you have a band? Stuff
Some of the,
stuff like that.
some of the remaining band practice places that still are
That
around.
still
There's
exist.
Not many, but yeah, there's
Oh,
that
yeah,
one
yeah.
in Fremont still.
We're still that one. We practice that one down on Western. I think it's been there forever.
Is that the one that Charlie Lorme and Kat
Yep.
have? What's that
Mhm.
place called?
I should know, but I don't.
That's what it's called?
It's got a weird name, right?
Actually, we're going to remember that. That's funny.
And I think I've practiced there in and out through the years. I know how to get there and where to park. Exactly.
Right?
Okay, so the
Not
show's
get
going to
towed.
be Brittany Danielle is going to open.
Okay.
I'm going to go in the middle slot, and then Sean P. Bates. It's his record release.
Right on.
And he is a fabulous singer. So he does. Chris Friel has a side band called Halloween, and Sean is the singer for that. And they always play Halloween at the Tractor.
And Queen songs, right?
Yeah.
I haven't
and-
seen it, but I heard it's awesome.
Oh my God, Sean just sings the hell out of it. I mean, he's just such a great singer. So it's his record release. I think the show starts at 8, which is nice because then I'm not going on at midnight. And yeah, that's what it's going to be. So July 8th, Slim's, 8 o'clock, Brittany Danielle, Kim Virant, and Sean P. Bates.
Sounds like a great, great setup for an evening. And I am just so happy to have you here. It's so good to see you. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
I think that's going to wrap up our segment with Kim Virant. And I'm sorry I got your name wrong, but all your people on Facebook shamed me. I'll never get that wrong again.
Oh, believe me, I've heard that name pronounced many different ways. So yes.
All right, conclusion to our pod. And so everybody knows our pods are generally filmed on Sunday afternoons, anywhere from like noon until 4. So when you're listening to this, we're sitting in my music room, pod room. We're looking out at the Puget Sound, and just a nice place to hang out. A lot of musical stuff around. And we appreciate everybody listening and sharing and liking the pod. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
Seattle's sound, then and now.